Come closer, my dear ones, settle your little hearts and rest your sleepy heads, because tonight I'm going to tell you a gentle tale that drifts in like a quiet rain, the kind that taps on your window as if it has something to say. You know, some rains are just wet, but some rains carry secrets. And this story begins with a very special rain, one that whispered to a little girl named Aria, calling her into a world hidden above the clouds, a world losing its colors and waiting for someone brave enough to help. So curl up softly and let the warmth of this tale wrap around you, because the rain is ready to speak again, and it has a beautiful adventure to share with you tonight. The evening air was soft and cool as a gentle rain began tapping against the small bedroom window, moving with a rhythm that felt almost alive, its tiny drops sliding down the glass like little travelers in a hurry. And in that calm pattering sound the world felt safe and peaceful, yet something carried a hint of mystery. Aria lay curled beneath her blanket, listening the way she always did whenever it rained. She loved the way the rain spoke in its own language of taps and rustles, like a lullaby written only for those willing to truly hear it. The room smelled faintly of damp earth drifting in through the open window, and she felt wrapped in a familiar comfort that always came with rainy evenings. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the soft drumming settle inside her heart. But then something shifted. The sound changed ever so slightly. The drops no longer fell in their usual random pattern. Instead, they formed a delicate rhythm that seemed almost intentional. Aria blinked slowly and leaned up, wondering if her sleepy mind was playing tricks on her. The rain was starting to sound like little voices, not loud ones, but tiny whispers hidden beneath the pattering. She tilted her head and listened closely. Her breath caught when the faint sound formed a shape, a word. It was her own name, carried so gently inside the raindrops that she almost doubted she heard it at all. A shiver of curiosity rippled through her as she whispered back very softly, wondering who could possibly call her like that. Her heart beat a bit faster, not in fear, but in that strange, excited way a child feels when something magical brushes past them. She tried to steady her breathing, telling herself that maybe she was imagining things. After all, she had always been someone who dreamed a little too deeply, and the rain had always felt like a companion to her. Friends sometimes create illusions in lonely evenings, she thought. Yet the whispers came again, clearer this time, tender as a lullaby. Aria sat up fully, the blanket slipping from her shoulders. The cool air touched her skin, but she hardly noticed it. She pressed her palm against the window frame and leaned closer to the glass. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she listened with all the attention her little heart could give. The whisper repeated her name, stretching it softly as if afraid to frighten her, and she felt a warm flutter inside her chest, almost as though someone was trying to reach her from far away. A thought settled in her mind, gentle and uncertain. What if the rain really was calling her? What if she was not imagining anything at all? It felt like the sky was trying to speak to her in a language meant only for her ears. She swallowed slowly as her imagination and her senses tangled together, creating a soft tremble of suspense inside her. Her fingers curled slightly against the windowsill as she whispered a tiny hello, unsure if anything would answer. The whispers grew clearer, like a friend stepping out from behind a curtain. The sound wrapped around her name as if embracing it, guiding her toward the window. she felt her heart swell with a strange tenderness, as though something outside wanted her to feel safe and seen. She did not fully understand what was happening yet, but she knew without doubt that something magical was trying to touch her life. Aria sat very still, listening, wondering, feeling the gentle pull of the whispering rain, and as the soft tapping continued, like tiny fingers on glass, she sensed that this night was only the beginning of something wondrous, something that would carry her far beyond her quiet little room into a world waiting just beyond the clouds. The rain returned the very next night with a soft, steady rhythm that brushed against the windows like tiny fingertips tapping a lullaby. The air carried that familiar scent of wet leaves drifting in from outside, and the whole room felt wrapped in a hush that made every whisper of the rain sound even more mysterious. Aria sat by the window long before the drops grew heavy, almost as if she had been waiting without meaning to. She rested her chin on her knees and listened to the delicate patter, hearing echoes of the strange calling from the night before. A quiet excitement fluttered inside her chest, unsure and gentle, like a bird testing its wings when the rain fell. A little harder, she leaned closer, her breath warming the cool glass. She felt the faint trembling of anticipation in her fingertips. Tonight, she wanted to be brave. She wanted to whisper back, even if she feared sounding foolish. The memory of her name, drifting through the raindrops, still lingered in her thoughts. So soft, yet unforgettable, she took a slow breath and whispered a small hello. Her voice barely more than a breath. The moment she spoke, something shifted in the sound of the rain. It was as if every drop paused for a heartbeat, listening. Then the rain answered. Its reply, a soft musical murmur woven through the pattering, as if someone had hidden a tiny song inside each falling drop. Aria gasped quietly as warmth spread through her chest. The voice of the rain was tender and calm. It sounded old enough to have seen many lifetimes, yet young enough to be playful. It told her it had been trying to reach her for years. She blinked in surprise, wondering why her and not somebody wiser or stronger. The thought puzzled her gently as she pressed her palm against the window frame, feeling the cool wood steadying her. Aria whispered back, asking why it had chosen her. The rain answered with a soft melody threaded through the falling droplets, explaining that she had a heart that listened even when the world was noisy, a heart that never lost its childlike wonder. She felt a warmth settle behind her ribs, a tender mix of pride and disbelief, and for a moment she wondered if she had always been connected to the rain without knowing it. The rain went on to explain that it carried messages from the sky world, above the clouds, messages filled with secrets of wind and color and light, messages that almost no one could hear anymore. Aria listened with wide eyes and a growing sense of awe. The idea of a sky world felt like something from a bedtime dream, yet the voice in the rain sounded sincere and gentle. Calming any doubt she had, she asked softly why only she could hear these messages, her voice trembling with wonder rather than fear. The rain whispered that some hearts are born tuned to the sky, like little bells that ring only when touched by magic. Her chest felt warm as she imagined herself being one of those few. It made her feel seen in a way she had never felt before. As they exchanged their gentle words, the room around her felt warmer, as if the world itself had curled close to listen. The pattering of the rain wrapped around her ears like a comforting blanket, and in that cozy hush their quiet friendship began, carried on the soft breath of a rainy night. The rain continued, whispering to her until her eyes grew heavy, and as she finally lay down to rest, she felt the soft rhythm outside, flowing like a lullaby, leading her toward dreams touched with silver clouds and distant colors waiting to be found. The rain began that night with a slow, gentle rhythm, each drop sliding down the window like tiny silver beads. The air felt heavier than usual, as if the clouds above were holding their breath, waiting for something important to be said, and the soft pattering carried a quiet sadness that Aria could feel before she even understood it. She curled beside the window with her blanket wrapped around her shoulders, listening closely to the rain's shy murmur. It sounded different from the previous nights, softer yet deeper, almost trembling in the way it touched the glass. Aria pressed her palm gently against the cool window frame, sensing that something was wrong even before the rain spoke. When the rain finally whispered her name, it sounded tired, carrying a weight she had never heard before. The voice felt dimmer, as though the clouds themselves were fading above her. She leaned in with worry tightening in her chest and whispered a small, "What is it?" The rain hesitated for a moment, then confessed that the sky world was losing its colors. Aria's breath caught as the rain explained how clouds once filled with bright blues and glowing golds were turning pale and gray. Each passing day made them weaker, slower, sadder. She imagined the sky growing dull, like an old painting left out in the sun, and the thought filled her with a quiet ache. The rain told her that if the colors vanished completely, the earth would lose its joyful rains forever. She stared at the window with wide, troubled eyes, imagining a world where rainfall carried no sparkle, no scent of fresh earth, no comforting patter to lull her to sleep. The idea felt strange and lonely, as if a dear friend would one day stop visiting. Her heart squeezed at the thought, and she wrapped her blanket tighter around herself. Unsure what to feel or say, the rain spoke again, its voice trembling like a soft melody slipping through the drops. It told her that it needed help, not from someone strong or wise, but from someone kind, someone who could feel magic even in silence. Aria felt her cheeks warm at those gentle words and lowered her gaze, wondering how an ordinary girl like her could help a whole sky. Her thoughts tangled with worry and wonder. She asked in a tender whisper why it believed she could do anything. The rain answered with warmth, saying her heart listened in ways most hearts had forgotten, that she had a quiet courage inside her, small but steady, like a candle that refuses to go out on a windy night. Those words settled deep within her chest, filling her with a shy strength she did not expect to feel. Still, she hesitated. The task felt far too big for her small hands. Doubt crept in like a shadow, and she hugged her knees close, wondering if she might disappoint the sky that trusted her. But beneath her fear was a gentle pull, a feeling that she was meant to hear this, meant to be here on this night when the rain finally chose to share its secret. Aria lifted her face toward the window again and whispered a trembling promise, her voice soft but full of sincerity. She said she would do whatever she could, no matter how small her help might be. The rain answered with a warm sigh that brushed her cheeks like a breeze, full of relief and gratitude. The gentle pattering softened into a lullaby, as if the sky itself had settled into her promise. And as Aria laid her head against her pillow, the sound of the rain glowed with new meaning, guiding her toward dreams filled with fading colors, waiting to be saved. The morning light slipped into Aria's room like a soft golden ribbon, touching her cheeks and warming the blanket curled around her. Outside the window, the last drops of the night's heavy rain still clung to the leaves, shining like tiny beads of glass, and the air carried that sweet, cool scent that comes only after a long shower from the sky. Aria yawned softly and stretched her sleepy arms. The quietness of the morning felt peaceful, yet expectant. As if something important was waiting for her to notice it, she rubbed her eyes gently and turned toward the window, noticing a faint glow sitting on the sill. A glow so delicate it looked like a tiny star had wandered into her room. Curiosity fluttered through her chest as she scooted closer. The wood of the window frame felt cool under her fingertips, and the light grew brighter as she leaned in. Resting her palms on the sill, she saw a small, shimmering object nestled between a few fallen raindrops. It was shaped like a perfect little droplet, glowing softly, as though it held a quiet heartbeat. When she picked it up, her breath caught in wonder. Inside, the tiny raindrop key colors swirled and danced, shifting like a miniature rainbow trapped within water, each hue gently blending into the next. The little key felt warm against her skin, warm in a way that was soothing and brave at the same time. She held it carefully, as if it were a fragile piece of morning light. Her heart thudded softly as she whispered a thoughtful question to herself. Could the rain have left this for her, after all the night spent speaking to her, telling her about the fading sky world? It made sense in a quiet, magical way. She closed her hand around the key and felt a soft pulse of warmth spread through her palm, almost like reassurance, almost like a promise. Aria's thoughts fluttered like soft pages turning. She remembered the confession of the rain, the sadness in its voice when it spoke of vanishing colors, the trembling way it had asked for help. All of that settled gently in her mind as she looked at the key glowing in her hand, a guide she had not expected yet somehow felt destined to receive, and she felt a small courage blooming inside her chest. She knew this was not an ordinary gift. She knew it carried meaning deeper than its tiny size. The warmth it gave felt like a hand holding hers, steadying her, telling her she was meant for this path. Even if fear still tugged softly at her heart, she could sense the sky placing its trust in her, and that trust settled over her like a warm blanket on a cold morning. Aria lifted the key closer to the window, letting the sunlight dance through it. The colors shimmered against the walls of her room, filling the quiet morning with a soft glow that felt alive. She whispered a gentle thank you toward the sky, her voice barely louder than the morning breeze, and though she heard no reply, she sensed a faint, quiet joy from the clouds above. Holding the little key close, she sat by the window, feeling the warmth spread through her chest, knowing deep inside that this was the key that would open the path to the sky world, the key that would guide her to the place where colors were fading and calling for her help. The morning light wrapped around her like a gentle hug as she imagined the journey that lay ahead. And as the breeze rustled the leaves outside, she felt the whisper of adventure slipping into her thoughts, soft and hopeful, guiding her heart toward the next chapter, waiting beyond the quiet glow of the rainbow key. The night drifted in with a gentle hush as the first raindrops began falling, slow and delicate. each one landing with a soft musical tap that seemed to glow in the moonlight. The air outside Aria's window shimmered with a quiet magic, as if the sky were weaving a secret just for her to discover. She sat by the window with the rainbow key warm in her hand. The soft pattering of the rain sounded different tonight, more careful, more purposeful. Each drop seemed to fall in a steady rhythm that made her heart beat a little faster. The world felt wrapped in a silver calm that stirred a shiver of wonder beneath her skin. As she leaned closer, the rain began gathering itself into shapes, tiny droplets drawing together like threads of sparkling water, forming a curve, then a step, then another. Her breath trembled as she watched a staircase made entirely of raindrops rise outside her window. Each step glowing softly as though lit from within by the colors of the rainbow key. She pressed her hand against the cool glass, hardly believing what she saw. The raindrop staircase shimmered with gentle light, waiting patiently for her to take her first step. Her heart fluttered with fear and excitement, a mix that made her chest feel full and warm. She whispered a small question into the quiet night, asking if she was truly meant to climb it. And though no voice answered, the glow brightened as if encouraging her. Aria opened her window and felt the cool breath of the night brush against her cheeks. The scent of fresh rain wrapped around her in a comforting embrace. She placed one foot onto the shimmering step, expecting it to slip like water. Instead, it held her gently, firm enough to support her, yet soft as a morning puddle warmed by sunlight. A quiet gasp escaped her as she felt herself lifted ever so slightly. She took another step, and then another, each one lightening her body until she felt weightless, as if the sky was holding her with invisible hands. Her hair lifted with the breeze, and the soft glow of the droplets clung to her skin like tiny stars. She felt safe, even though she was leaving the ground behind, her heart racing with the thrill of this impossible journey. Thoughts fluttered through her mind like little feathers. She wondered if she was brave enough for what waited above the clouds. Yet the warmth of the rainbow key in her hand reminded her of the promise she had made. She felt the rain's trust inside that warmth, comforting her with the quiet message that she was not alone, and that each step was leading her exactly where she needed to be. As she climbed higher, the sounds of the earth softened beneath her. The houses grew small, the trees shrank into tiny dark shapes. The world below turned quiet and distant, like a painting fading at the edges. She felt no fear, only a strange peacefulness rising with her. The cool air brushed her cheeks, carrying the faint scent of clouds that had not yet been touched by sunlight. When she finally reached the last visible step, she paused and looked down. The world was tiny and still, resting like a sleeping creature under the soft blanket of night. She turned her gaze upward again and saw the clouds parting slowly, as though welcoming her into their hidden world. Her breath softened, filled with a mix of wonder and anticipation. With one final step, she rose into the glowing mist of the sky, carried by the soft shimmer of rain, ready to see what secret the clouds would reveal next. Her heart drifting forward like a lantern glowing through the quiet night. Aria felt the shift the moment she stepped through the shimmering doorway. The ground beneath her feet softened like cool cotton, and the air carried a faint, trembling whisper, as if it had been waiting too long for someone to arrive. She blinked, and the quiet world around her slowly revealed itself. The Sky Kingdom stretched out in front of her like a forgotten dream. The clouds drooped low, as if tired from holding their own weight. For far too many years, they curled around her ankles, in slow, sleepy swirls, and the faintest sigh slipped from them, as though they were relieved to finally have company. Aria took a breath and felt the heaviness settle on her shoulders. Not frightening, but sad in a gentle, aching way, like listening to an old lullaby that no longer had its melody. She walked forward, her footsteps sinking slightly into a cloud path that used to shine but now looked washed out, like a painting left in the rain too long. Each step released a soft puff of cool air, and she could almost imagine the clouds trying to speak to her, trying to tell her how long they had been dim and colorless. Aria's heart tightened because she could feel how lonely this place had become. As she moved deeper into the sky realm, she noticed the winds. They drifted around her, slowly, dragging themselves along like sleepy children who had been awake for too many nights. One of the gentle breezes brushed past her cheek, almost apologetically, as though ashamed that it could no longer dance or twirl like it once used to. Aria whispered softly to it, telling the wind she was here to help. And even though she received no answer, she felt a tiny flutter of warmth in response. Her thoughts tangled with worry as she looked around. This kingdom was meant to be bright and full of playful motion. It was supposed to breathe life into the skies and paint the world with joyful rains. Yet all she saw were muted grays and clouds that sagged like weary elders. She imagined what it must have looked like when it was alive and colorful, with rainbows weaving between towers of clouds and wind spirits laughing. The image made her chest ache even more. She paused at the edge of a large open stretch where the cloud floor dipped gently downward. The whole area looked like a sleeping giant wrapped in gray wool. Aria knelt and placed her hand on the cloud. The moment her fingers sank into its cool softness, she felt a faint throb, as if the kingdom had a heartbeat that had grown too slow. The idea frightened her just a little, but it also filled her with a strange sense of responsibility, like the sky was trusting her. A soft voice echoed in her mind, not loud, not clear, but warm like a forgotten memory. It murmured a quiet plea, a reminder that without color, the rains could no longer bring joy to the world below. No laughter would fall from the clouds. No sparkle would glide across rooftops. Aria swallowed gently and whispered, "I understand. I promise I will not let you fade." The clouds around her trembled ever so slightly, almost like a shy nod. Standing again, she lifted her chin, her determination settling like a calm flame inside her. She knew the task ahead was far greater than anything she had imagined before stepping into this kingdom, but she also felt the tiniest spark of hope, a small thread of life still clinging to this place, waiting for someone brave enough to pull it back into brightness. Aria took one more breath, letting the cool cloud air fill her chest, and she stepped forward into the deeper gray, ready to uncover what had stolen the sky's colors, ready to bring its heart back to life. And as she walked, a single pale shimmer rippled across the clouds behind her, like the first soft hint of morning, waiting to become something brighter. A tremble rolled through the sky floor as Aria stepped into the deeper gray. The clouds beneath her feet quivered like they were holding their breath, and a low hum thrummed through the air, rising and falling like a faraway heartbeat, calling her closer. She felt the pull of something ancient waiting in the shadows. The path narrowed into a tunnel of thick, dark mist, each swirl brushing her arms with a cool shiver. Tiny sparks of blue light flickered inside the fog like shy fireflies, guiding her gently forward. With every step, the air grew warmer, then cooler again, almost as if the sky itself was trying to prepare her for what she was about to see. Aria held her breath and kept walking, feeling both curious and scared in the softest way. Then she saw him, the storm guardian. He rose from the center of the mist like a great mountain made of clouds, his form shifting slowly with deep rolls of thunder curling inside him. Streaks of pale lightning glowed under his surface like veins of living light. For a moment, Aria could not move. Her small fingers tightened against her sides as her heart thudded hard enough to echo in her ears. He looked frightening in size, towering high enough to brush the ceiling of the sky realm. His shoulders rolled like storm waves, and each breath he took made a soft rumble run through the clouds. Even the air smelled different around him, charged with a faint, metallic scent of distant rain. Aria trembled, wondering if she had stepped into danger without realizing it. But then he spoke, and his voice was nothing like she expected. It was deep but gentle, warm, like thunder muffled behind a mountain. "Child, do not fear," he said. The words rolled through her softly, wrapping around her like a heavy blanket on a cold evening. Aria felt some of the tightness leave her chest, though her knees still wobbled a little. She whispered, "I thought you might hurt me," her voice barely louder than a sigh. "Never," the guardian answered, his cloud face shifting into something almost like a smile. "I have been waiting for you, little one. Only you can help the sky beat again." His words settled deep inside her, both comforting and frightening, because she had never been told she was the one to fix something so big. She felt a tiny flutter in her stomach, the kind that came when responsibility and hope mixed together. Aria stepped closer, the cloud floor dipping slightly under her weight. She looked up at the guardian, noticing how the lightning inside him did not flash angrily but glowed softly, like tired lanterns trying their best to stay warm. She asked, quietly, "Why me?" her voice shivering like a small bell. The guardian lowered himself, his form folding like a resting storm. "Because you carry the courage of light even when afraid," he murmured. "And because the sky listens to hearts that still believe." The words made her feel seen in a way she had never felt before. She had come here trembling but determined, and now she felt a gentle spark of confidence nest in her chest. The guardian turned, the clouds around him swirling aside to make a path. "Come, Aria," he said. "I will take you to the heart of our world, the place where the colors were stolen." His voice held a mixture of sadness and quiet hope. Aria nodded and followed him, her steps steady now. The clouds seemed to brighten slightly as she passed, like they, too, knew something important was finally beginning. And as the guardian led her deeper into the swirling mists, a soft, silver glow formed ahead of them, promising secrets waiting to be uncovered in the quiet heart of the sky world. The clouds parted gently as Aria followed the storm guardian, a soft hum vibrating through the sky floor, like the world itself was holding its breath. She could feel tiny sparks of electricity dancing around her fingertips, and the air smelled faintly of fresh rain and cool stone. Every step brought a shiver of excitement mixed with wonder, as though she was walking toward something very old and very precious. Through the swirling mists, They reached a hollow filled with soft golden light, and there it was, the crystal heart, buried just beneath the cloud surface, glowing faintly. Like a shy ember hiding under ash, it pulsed softly in the quiet, the colors long faded. Now a dull gray shimmer that seemed to tremble like a sigh. Aria leaned closer, feeling its hum in her chest as if it were calling to her. She crouched and placed her hand gently on the crystal, the surface cold and smooth under her palm. Her thoughts whispered like a lullaby. Kindness, hope, love, she murmured inside herself, imagining every joyful rain she had ever seen, every sunbeam that had made her heart leap. A warmth spread from her hand into the crystal, faint at first, like the softest glow of candlelight. Slowly, the gray shimmer began to shift. Hints of pale blues and pinks flickered across its surface, trembling like tiny butterflies trying to take flight. Aria's breath caught, and she pressed her hand a little closer, whispering softly, "You are safe now. It is time to bloom." The light brightened. With each thought, the crystal's surface swirling into radiant purples, oranges, and greens. A quiet music of color filled the hollow. Aria felt her chest swell with a happiness so tender it almost made her dizzy. This was the heart of the sky, the soul of every sunrise and every gentle storm. She laughed softly, a quiet giggle that felt like wind chimes. The colors danced higher and higher, spilling out over the clouds. The whole sky lifting its arms in celebration. She whispered to herself, "I did it. The sky is alive again." The storm guardian hovered. Nearby, a soft rumble in his voice. "You brought it back, little one." And the warmth of his words settled around her like a comforting quilt. She smiled up at him, feeling both proud and humbled. The colors stretched into every corner of the sky, painting ribbons of light across the vast emptiness they had once walked through. The clouds shimmered and twirled as if stretching awake from a long sleep, every raindrop catching the new light and sparkling like tiny jewels. Aria could feel the gentle hum of joy vibrating under her feet, a rhythm that promised more wonders yet to come. And as she lifted her hand from the heart, she could hear the quiet whispers of rain forming in the distance, soft and inviting, ready to tell new stories. And as the sky bloomed fully, a gentle wind carried the scent of rain and blossoms through the clouds, wrapping around Aria like a cozy blanket, a tender promise lingering in the air that even in the grayest moments, color could always return. The clouds above shivered with excitement, a soft breeze carrying the scent of wet earth and flowers yet to bloom. And then, with a sudden sparkle, the colors Aria had restored burst forth, flowing through the sky like ribbons of light, each hue twisting and twirling, scattering tiny sparks that glittered like stars. The air itself seemed to hum with anticipation and wonder. Drops of color began to fall gently, each one holding a tiny, glowing light. They landed softly on leaves, rooftops, and the grass, making everything shimmer as if the world itself had taken a deep, happy breath. People below paused in surprise, tilting their faces up, feeling warmth ripple through their hearts, a quiet peace settling over them, soft and gentle, as if someone had tucked them in with invisible hands. The flowers, startled by the glowing rain, stretched their petals wide, drinking in the colors, brighter than ever before, and a sweet, fresh fragrance filled the air, delicate and comforting, like a memory of sunlit mornings and gentle laughter. The wind carried this perfume far and wide, brushing against Aria's cheeks and through her hair, making her shiver with a happy sort of awe from above. The sky world celebrated, clouds rolling and rumbling with joyful thunder, a deep, soft music that vibrated under her feet, making the world feel alive. Every flicker of lightning and every glow of color seemed to nod and wink at her, acknowledging her hand in this miracle. And she watched, heart swelling, whispering quietly, "I helped this happen." Can the sky really feel gratitude? She wondered, feeling both pride and gentle humility. Aria's thoughts drifted to all the moments of doubt, the fear that she might fail, and she realized how fragile yet strong hope could be. The warmth of accomplishment radiated through her chest, soft and comforting. She breathed in the scent of rain and blossoms, letting it fill her completely, and a small giggle escaped her, a sound that mingled with the glittering rain as if she had become part of the magic herself. The colors settled over the clouds, shimmering and stretching toward the horizon, each raindrop carrying a secret happiness to every corner of the world. She reached out to touch one, and it fizzled gently against her fingers, leaving a spark of light that made her eyes widen with wonder. The storm guardian hovered nearby, his voice a low, approving rumble. "You have given the sky its song," and she smiled, feeling his gentle pride warm her like a soft quilt. The wind whispered through the glowing sky, brushing past Aria with the scent of rain, petals, and distant sunshine. The clouds rolled slowly, lazily, celebrating in quiet jubilation, and she leaned back on the soft, warm mist beneath her, feeling the peace of a world alive with color, a world that seemed to breathe with her own heartbeat. And as the last drops of sparkling rain floated downward, she closed her eyes for a moment, imagining the stories they would carry below, soft and inviting. And as the laughter of colors mingled with the gentle hum of clouds, the sky stretched endlessly above, promising more wonders, more quiet magic to come, leaving her with a gentle sense of curiosity and a heart that knew the adventure was only just beginning. The clouds above whispered softly, a gentle drizzle pattering on leaves and rooftops, and the air smelled of wet earth and sweet blossoms, a quiet magic lingering as if the world itself was holding its breath. And then, with a soft shimmer, the rain began to rise, forming a delicate staircase of glimmering droplets, winding upward through the mist and moonlight, inviting Aria to step home. Each step on the rain staircase felt light and alive, a soft tickle against her fingertips and toes, the droplets singing a gentle lullaby, carrying tiny sparkles of all the colors she had restored. She climbed slowly, her heart fluttering with the thrill of the final journey, the sky humming a quiet, grateful tune, and she could feel the soft pulse of the world beneath her, as if the rain itself had wrapped her in a warm, protective hug. When she reached her window, the familiar scent of home wrapped around her, warm wood, soft blankets, and the faint sweetness of evening tea. The air was calm, comforting, the gentle whisper of the rain brushing past her cheeks as if saying a soft, heartfelt thank you. She stepped inside, and everything felt safe and bright. The cozy glow of her room, a soft contrast to the glittering magic outside. She pulled the window closed, watching the rain bow its colors one last time. The rain's voice was quiet, almost like a secret. It promised to watch over her dreams, to sprinkle gentle peace on her sleep. Aria listened, leaning back on her pillows, feeling a deep, warm satisfaction ripple through her chest. She thought of all the moments she had hesitated, all the doubts and fears, and now they seemed so small. Her hand rested lightly on her heart, whispering, "Thank you for letting me help." The words as soft as the rain itself. Her thoughts drifted to the colors she had restored, the laughter of clouds, the sparkling drops that had kissed every flower and tree. She felt a quiet pride mixed with tender relief, knowing she had saved a world and given it joy, and at the same time, she felt a connection she could never forget, a gentle bond with the rain that seemed alive, almost like an old friend who had been waiting for her all along. Outside, the rain shimmered in the moonlight, sliding softly down the glass, humming a low, content tune. The air smelled of wet soil and petals, faint and soothing. The world was hushed. The night, gentle and protective, clouds rolling lazily, carrying the soft promise of another adventure, another story, the magic lingering in the shadows and in the quiet corners of her room. Aria nestled under her blankets, the soft glow of her room mingling with the distant shimmer of the rain. A small smile tugging at her lips, her eyes heavy but full of wonder. She whispered a quiet goodnight to the world she had touched, feeling the warmth of safety and pride wrap around her like a soft quilt. And as sleep pulled her gently under, the rain lingered outside, sparkling softly like an old friend keeping watch. And as her breathing deepened, calm and steady, the rain continued its quiet song, a promise of friendship and magic, of dreams watched over and worlds saved. And the night held her gently, leaving a soft hint of wonder for the morning to come.